All right, let's dive into some really cool stuff today, shall we? Effective study techniques. Think of it as like a toolbox for supercharging your learning.
Ooh, a toolbox. I like that.
We've got two great sources we're going to be pulling from today.
Okay.
One is a really comprehensive guide called How to Study Effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is a TED Ed video that kind of summarizes a bunch of key research on this topic.
And when you say research, we're talking like
Uh-oh.
serious, rigorous research.
Yeah, like the kind that actually helps
It's so
surgical residents improve their performance, which is,
That's pretty impressive, right?
yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Because we think about surgeons and they're like at the top of their game already.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if it can help them,
Yeah,
it can probably help us,
exactly.
regular folks.
So the first thing I kind of wanted to jump into, the first technique is active recall.
Okay.
And I have to say, for years, I thought that just rereading my notes was enough. Oh, I've been there.
Turns out rereading
Yeah.
does not equal learning.
It gives you that false sense of knowledge, doesn't it?
Totally, yeah. Like I felt like I knew it, but then when it came time to actually like recall it,
Oh, yeah.
it was gone. Poof.
It's like a mirage in the desert.
Yeah, totally. So how would you describe active recall?
Well, I think the simplest way to put it is it's like this.
Yeah.
Instead of passively absorbing the information, you're actively trying to retrieve it from memory.
Oh.
And that active retrieval process, that's what makes all the difference.
So it's almost like instead of just reading it and hoping it sticks, you're forcing your brain to go and pull it back out.
You're making your brain work for it. It's like a mental workout.
Totally, yeah.
You're forcing those neural connections to fire, to strengthen, and that leads to better retention.
So how do we actually do active recall? Like what are some practical ways to put this into practice? Sure, there are actually a bunch of different ways.
Okay.
One of the most popular ones is the Feynman technique.
Okay, I feel like I've heard of that.
Have you heard of that?
Vaguely. Yeah, like it rings a bell, but I definitely couldn't explain it.
Well, that's actually perfect because that's kind of the whole point of the Feynman technique.
Okay.
It's all about explaining a concept
Okay.
as if you were teaching it to someone
Okay.
who knows nothing about it.
Yeah.
And when you do that,
Mm-hmm.
it forces you to simplify it,
Yeah.
to organize the information in a way that actually makes sense.
Okay.
And it really helps you to identify any gaps
Mm-hmm.
in your understanding.
So it's like a litmus test for your own knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Like if you can't explain it simply,
Yeah.
you probably don't understand it well enough.
It's so true.
Right.
Yeah, and I think about like those moments when you're trying to explain something, like a complicated concept, to a friend. And then you're like, oh, wait, I actually don't.
I don't even...
I'll fully get this myself.
You're like halfway through the explanation.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, wait a minute, how does this actually work?
Hold on, let me back up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I need to rethink this.
So it's almost like, yeah, teaching an imaginary friend
Yeah.
is a great way to test that out.
It's like a humbling experience,
Yeah.
but it's incredibly effective.
Okay, so besides teaching our imaginary friend, is there anything else we can do
Yeah.
for active recall?
Another really good one is question generation.
Okay.
And this one is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
It's basically turning your study material into a personalized quiz.
Oh.
So as you're going through a chapter or an article,
Mm-hmm.
just ask yourself, what are the key takeaways here? What are the most important definitions
Mm-hmm.
or formulas or concepts?
Okay.
And then try to answer those questions without peeking.
So instead of just highlighting everything,
Exactly.
which I'm totally guilty of,
Yeah. Highlighting can be deceptive. It is.
because it feels like you're doing something,
Yeah, totally.
but you're not really processing the information.
But you're not really engaging with it on that deeper level.
Exactly.
Okay, so active recall, we got that one down. What's next?
Let's talk about interleaving.
Interleaving, okay.
This one's fun.
Okay.
Think of it like cross-training for your brain.
Okay, I like that. Brain cross-training.
Right.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So instead of focusing on one subject for hours on end,
Mm-hmm.
which, let's be honest, can lead to mental fatigue
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and those diminishing returns,
Yep.
interleaving involves mixing things up.
Okay.
You study different subjects or topics
Mm-hmm.
in shorter, more focused bursts.
Okay.
This keeps your brain engaged,
Okay.
and it prevents those dreaded mental plateaus.
So instead of me sitting down and having like a 3-hour cram session on ancient Roman history,
Exactly.
I should be like breaking it up with like, I don't know, some algebra problems in
Yeah.
between.
That's the idea.
Okay.
It might feel a little counterintuitive at first,
Yeah, for sure.
But trust me, it works.
Okay.
Our brains are wired to make connections, and interleaving forces them to do just that.
Okay.
It's like building a mental web of knowledge,
Yeah.
linking different concepts together.
So how does that actually look in practice? Like if I'm studying for an exam and it covers, like, 5 chapters in a textbook, should I just be like randomly flipping between them?
It's a little more strategic than that.
Yeah.
One really effective approach is what our source material calls scenario-based learning.
Okay.
So you take different concepts from various chapters or topics, and you weave them together into problems or scenarios.
Okay.
This forces you to apply your knowledge in a more kind of integrated way.
Okay.
And that strengthens your understanding.
So it's almost like making those connections between seeming
like disparate topics. Okay, I'm glad you knew what I was going for.
I gotcha.
Okay, so interleaving.
It's all about making those connections.
Yeah.
It's about seeing the big picture.
Okay, before we move on.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to know about interleaving to kind of like really make it work for us?
Yeah, I mean, the key with interleaving is to be strategic about it.
Okay.
You don't want to just jump around like randomly, like a chicken with its head cut off.
Yeah.
So our guide actually recommends breaking your study time into structured blocks.
Okay.
Like dedicate a certain amount of time to each subject or topic before switching to another one.
Okay, so almost like circuit training for your brain.
Mental circuit training.
Okay.
And just like with physical exercise, right?
Yeah.
You can gradually increase the duration of each block as you get more comfortable. Yeah. So start small.
Start small.
And then build up.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's also important to mix up the order of the topics you're studying.
Okay.
You don't want your brain to kind of fall into a predictable pattern.
Yeah.
So keep it guessing.
So that's where that element of surprise comes in.
Yes.
Keep your brain on its toes.
Exactly. The source material calls it the power of randomization.
Ooh.
Keep your brain guessing.
Okay.
Force it to adapt, make new connections.
It's like throwing a curveball at your brain.
Exactly. Like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, okay, so interleaving, I'm really starting to see how this can add like a whole new dimension to studying.
It's more dynamic.
Yeah.
It's more engaging.
Yeah.
And the best part is it's backed by research.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered active recall.
Yes.
We've covered interleaving.
We have.
What is the final piece of this brain-boosting puzzle?
All right, let's talk about spaced repetition.
Okay.
This is all about outsmarting the forgetting curve.
Oh, the forgetting curve.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is this natural phenomenon where we tend to forget information over time if we don't actively try to retain it.
Yeah, the forgetting curve is real.
It's real.
It's like, you meet someone new, and then 2 seconds later, you've completely forgotten their name.
I've been there so many times.
Oh, it's so relatable.
I'm terrible with names.
Yeah.
Spaced repetition is like the antidote to that.
Okay.
The basic idea is you review material at increasing intervals.
Okay.
So you're spacing out your study sessions over time.
Okay, so it's not just cramming everything in right before an exam.
No cramming.
Yeah.
That's actually a really bad strategy.
It is. It is.
It might work in the short term, but for long-term retention, spaced repetition is where it's at.
So it's about like strategically planning those review sessions over time.
Exactly. And there are some really cool techniques you can use to make spaced repetition work for you.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the Leitner system?
Leitner system.
Yeah.
Okay, that one sounds familiar.
Yeah, it uses flashcards.
Okay.
And it's a brilliant system for learning and retaining information.
Okay.
So you essentially organize your flashcards into different boxes based on how well you know them.
Okay.
So the cards you struggle with, you review more frequently.
Makes sense.
And the cards you know well, you review less often.
Okay, so it's like a personalized review schedule.
Exactly. It adapts.
That adapts to
your learning.
For progress.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there are a ton of apps out there, like Anki. Have you heard of Anki?
Oh, yeah. I love Anki. I've used that for language learning.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's great.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
But, even if you're not using flashcards, you can still incorporate spaced repetition into your study routine.
Okay.
The source material talks about this technique called time stamping.
Time stamping. Okay, what's that?
It's super simple.
Okay.
You just mark the date of your last review on your notes or study materials.
Okay.
So you can see when you need to revisit that information.
So almost like setting little deadlines for myself.
Yes.
To go back and refresh.
Little mental deadlines.
Yeah, okay, so
it's a built-in space repetition system.
We've got these 3 core techniques.
Yes.
Active recall.
Yes.
Interleaving space repetition.
We've got our trifecta.
It feels like a pretty solid foundation.
It is really good foundation.
Effective learning. But is there more?
But wait. There's more.
Oh, tell me more.
The source material also talks about some general study enhancements that can make a big difference in your overall learning effectiveness.
So we're talking like creating the perfect study environment.
Yes, that's a big one.
Okay.
Minimizing distractions, good lighting, staying organized.
Yeah.
Making your study space a place where you actually enjoy spending time.
Yeah.
All these things can have a huge impact.
So it's like setting the stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Setting the stage for success.
Okay, what else? What else?
And then there's multisensory learning.
Okay, multisensory learning.
Yeah, this is the idea that you don't just rely on one sense, like reading or listening.
Right.
But you engage multiple senses.
Yeah, I've heard of that. It's like using visuals, audio, even like kinesthetic activities to really immerse yourself in the material.
Exactly. Think about charts and diagrams, listening to recordings, watching videos, even trying hands-on activities, if you can.
Okay.
The more senses you engage, the more pathways you create in your brain. And the stronger the memory becomes.
It's like turning learning into like a multi-dimensional experience.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's self-care.
Self-care.
Can't expect your brain to perform at its best if you're not taking care of yourself.
Preach. Yeah. Sleep, hydration.
Yes.
Healthy food.
Those things are non-negotiable.
It all matters.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else in the self-care realm?
And then finally, the source material talks about adopting a growth mindset.
Okay, growth mindset.
This is all about embracing challenges.
Okay.
Viewing mistakes as learning opportunities.
Yeah.
And believing in your ability to improve.
That's so important.
It is.
It's easy to get discouraged, when you hit a roadblock or when you're struggling with something.
Right.
But having that growth mindset can really make a difference.
It can change everything.
Yeah.
It's about seeing learning as a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing the process, the ups and downs, and knowing that with effort and the right strategies, you can achieve anything.
I love that. I love that.
You set your mind to...
Okay, so we've got the techniques, we've got the enhancements, we've got the mindset.
We've got it all.
But how long until I see results?
That's a great question.
Right. Like, is there some kind of timeline for brain improvement?
It's funny you should ask that.
Yeah.
Because the guide actually lays out a timeline that I think you'll find really motivating.
Okay, so what kind of improvement are we talking, like in the short term?
So in the short term, let's say like 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
You should start to notice a difference.
Okay.
In how easily you can recall information that you've been actively reviewing. Like it'll be more readily available.
Gotcha.
You'll also become more aware of your knowledge gaps, which honestly, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's like, you don't know what you don't know until you start trying to actively recall it.
It's like shining a spotlight.
Yeah.
On those areas where you need to focus.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the short term. What about like medium term?
All right, so medium term, let's say 1 to 3 months.
Okay.
You'll really start to see
Okay.
the power of space repetition kicking in.
Okay.
The information you've been diligently reviewing will stick with you much longer.
Okay.
And thanks to the interleaving, you'll also find yourself becoming a more agile problem solver.
Okay.
You'll be able to make connections between different ideas more effortlessly.
It's like we're building mental stamina and flexibility at the same time.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so what about long term? Like if we stick with this.
All right, so long term, 6 months or more.
6 months. Okay.
Yeah, that's where the magic really happens.
Okay.
The guide emphasizes this. Like If you stick with these techniques consistently for 6 months or more, you will witness remarkable changes. Learning new things will become easier and faster. You'll have strengthened those neural connections. You'll have laid a solid foundation for continuous learning.
6 months? Wow, that's a really powerful reminder that consistency is key. It's like anything worth achieving, right?
It takes time.
It takes time and
effort.
Yeah, okay, so we got to track our progress too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Don't underestimate the power of tracking your progress. Whether you use a simple study journal or a fancy app, it doesn't really matter. But keeping tabs on your learning journey can keep you motivated and help you make adjustments.
It's like having a fitness tracker for your brain.
It's exactly a mental fitness tracker.
I like that. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground today.
A lot of ground.
We talked about active recall, interleaving spaced repetition.
Our trifecta.
Our brain-boosting trifecta.
Exactly.
Any final thoughts?
You know, the thing I love about all of this is that it's not just about acing your next exam or mastering a particular subject. It's about cultivating a lifelong love of learning. It's about equipping yourself with the tools to thrive in a world that's constantly evolving.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a challenge.
Okay, I like it.
Imagine yourself 6 months from now, having consistently applied these techniques.
All right.
How do you think you'll feel? What new skills or knowledge will you have acquired? What challenges will you have overcome?
I love that.
The possibilities are endless. And that's what makes this journey of lifelong learning so exciting.
It's an adventure. It's filled with discovery, growth. Endless potential.
And remember, the most important step is to start.
Just start.
Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the perfect study plan.
Just pick one technique and start implementing it today.
Your brain will thank you.
Your brain will thank you.